Hey, it's Phil Wallner. It's May 29th, 2019. You're probably wondering why I'm making a video and posting it. Frankly, so am I. A few weeks ago, I was listening to the radio in the car. Yes, I'm that old. And they were talking about an article in Forbes magazine about how the online education industry, right now, it's about $107 million per day. In the next 5-6 years is going to grow into easily a $300 million per day industry. And that was fascinating to me. I'm at a point in my life for a number of reasons where I'm really reinventing myself. And that stuck with me as something that I needed to look into. So one of the things that they recommended early on is just document your journey as often as you can. Post your videos, podcast, whatever it may be, and see how you've grown through this process and how your abilities grow and how your life transitions. So I'm asking you, give me 6 months at least. You don't have to look at everything, you don't have to watch everything or listen to everything, but give me a chance to hear what I've got to say. Frankly, I believe with some of my experiences, you will get some value out of it at some point. I don't know when, I don't know where. If you've got questions, you probably know me. Ask me how I did whatever or why I decided to do what I did. And I'm happy to elaborate one-on-one. So I've had this inkling for a while that I've got some unique abilities and project myself in a way, I guess, that maybe others turn to and take note of. And one of the things that really struck home with me in 8th grade, I had one of my schoolmates pull me aside. It was at recess, and he says, "Hey, you know what my teacher told me in my parent-teacher conference last night?" I said, "No." He says, "They told me that I needed to be more like you." I was blown away. I don't remember what I said, but it really hit home with me that, and it was way beyond what I saw of myself at that time. But it's stuck with me, and I think of it from time to time, and it really is a source of motivation for me to maybe when I'm a little anxious or nervous, or maybe I'm not ready for that next step in doing what I think is the right thing or sharing the experience, I say to myself, someone out there needs to hear this, needs to see what's going on. So many of you know professionally, after I got my 4-year degree in economics from a fantastic school, Lawrence University in Wisconsin, and I started as a recruiter, a headhunter, and also eventually grew into sales. And it's a tough business, quite frankly. 90% of the people who try it, 1 year later, they're doing something else. And I went from day one to 3 months in, was learning how to gain clients. By 6 months in, I was on the track to become a leader, to become a manager. By a year and a half in, I was managing a small group. Some of those people were older than me. I was 25 years old, and there were times I'd have people that were late 30s, 40 years old, that I'm trying to show them the business and help them to grow and flourish in it. So that was unique, and one of my takeaways from that is not having silos in your life and what you do day to day. In other words, everything matters. It all ties together. And one of the first things that people that I notice when I'm training someone is, they're naturally nervous. They've started a new job working with me, and they get on the phone and they have this phone voice. And it's totally different than anything I've heard coming out of their mouth since I've met the person. And it happened every single time. But eventually, for the ones who were successful, that kind of went away. And it became more natural. It was them. It was genuine. And those are the people that came to be very successful. The phone, quite frankly, in that business becomes your home field advantage. Pauses, tone, inflections, phrases come to mean a lot more to you than the other person on the line, whether it's a client or a candidate. And they don't know it, but they're telling you things that help you formulate an opinion about whether or not they should be going to your client, or if that client search is something that you should be working on. And the bottom line is it's full commission, and you've got to really look at how you're spending your time and who you're putting your time into, because they better be serious about it. If they're not, you end up wasting your time, and thus 90% of the people fail. So I spent about 20 years in that line of work. Yes, certifiably crazy, probably at this point. And my life took a major turn. It was, frankly, the frog in the pot of cold water, and was getting a little warmer. I didn't know why, but that warmth was not feeling so good, and going through doctors and trying to figure out what's going on, and having less energy in the day, to not being able to focus. And from days where I just did too much, or say I was out in the heat, say a 90, 95 degree day, it was so disabling. I had, probably 10, 12 days in a row where I felt like I had just done hard labor every single one of those days, but I was just wiped out and really couldn't do anything. So finally, after a few years of investigating this, I figured out that I had Lyme disease. Lyme, quite frankly, is going to be the modern day challenge for this era, and there's no question about it. It's a tidal wave that the CDC does not see coming. Most people don't know much about it. They don't even know how to tell if they may have Lyme disease. And my experience has been one of being my own lab rat after a certain point, and trying to figure out what works for me in the way of treatment and what does not, because every person does react a little bit differently to the disease. And I share these things with you because what I found is, in life, when things are rolling along, they're pretty steady, they're pretty predictable, those times, you can find your way, you can do what you need to do to get where you want to go, and frankly, it's not that hard. But when the stuff starts to hit the fan, when things get stretched out to such a degree of difficulty, or you're trying to get to such a high degree of high performance, you learn things at those extremes that you don't learn when you're there in the middle. So I invite you on this journey. I've already started a website. In fact, I still have some stock text up there. It's PDubsHub.com. Where I'm going to be sharing what I've learned from this, and it's going to cover everything from health to attitude and personal growth, to finances, and frankly, when to make some tough decisions, and how to move beyond those situations, and how to reinvent yourself, because that's really at the point where I'm at. I'm not sure how this is going to work out, but again, I think it's going to be pretty interesting, pretty exciting. I can tell you, definitely been crazy for me living it. So please stay tuned. If you've got questions, I do, as I build this out, I want to get feedback and hear from people what they want to hear more of from me, what maybe should I spend less time on. But I invite you on the journey. Hope you enjoy it, and thank you for your time.